with the brand name Mediterranean diet, because it's also a brand name that was recovered by the scientific community and brought back to a scientific domain by also issuing a pyramid with no copyright. So it's something that was related to the past and the present of what represents Mediterranean diet brand name. There is a lot of exploitation, there is a lot of interest, but the second session is totally projected into the future. It was something that we started to say in the early 2002 when we started to speak, to associate the Mediterranean food cultures with Mediterranean diet, with nutritionists, food science, and anthropologists, and FAO, and with the CIISCAM. We were talking about an underestimated value inside the Euro-Mediterranean Partnership that was dedicated to, quote, food, quote, that was not taken into consideration as a privileged vehicle of a dialogue in the Mediterranean. It was started with FAO, feeding minds, fighting hunger. And it's not the case that the image that is projected, there was an image that was supposed to be. This image showed the projection of what represented food price rise in a projection that then Parma Burlingame it will give. But it is important to recall that all these CIISCAM conferences are held within the Italian celebration for the World Food Day that allowed to have the technical a strategic need to preserve the diversity of the Mediterranean food cultures as an outstanding sustainable resource for all the Mediterraneans. So we're talking about a strategic need, not on the Mediterranean diet, but on Mediterranean food cultures, plural. Because the agreement in the 2002 on which we started was to accept this invention that was imported or exported by the Americans, for science like that, but to start to make Mediterranean diet, Mediterranean food culture, as equal, as an expression of identity. This is why in 2006 Mediterranean Diet Foundation started the procedures to move this candidation to UNESCO that then was endorsed by 4 governments, and it is not closed in the sense that the benefits as to be shared, like we said in 2005, with all the Mediterranean countries, all the Mediterranean people. So we have to remember, as it was just already said, that in 2010 it will start with some delay the frame of the free trade zone in the Mediterranean. That has a lot of implication because, like I started to remember, food is the main item traded in the Mediterranean and has a lot of economic value. But for us, Mediterranean, food has a cultural, social, has a many value that is not just a container of nutrients. So this is why we moved from a concept nutrient-oriented, like Antonia today she highlighted, to a synergetic value of the food. That is the last recent research. There are many strategic studies conducted at the level of United Nations and the impact on the free trade in the Mediterranean area that have shown a decline, a dangerous decline on Mediterranean diet and Mediterranean food culture. That was the last recall stressed by Professor Serramaino. So we're going together, and it was not easy, to create a consensus to all the different levels, from the scientific community to the community, as it was said by Regia Belanza, the community, as to go back. This brings to a concept of sustainable diet, not only about the change of climate change, but bring to local, seasonality, to rural development, to a new model where food production with incentived by the government that are only related to produce are totally disconnected by the nutrition requirement, the nutritional need. They are moving not the parallel, they are moving from this, each one with his own agenda. And we are inside also, as I work for Professor Carnella inside the National Institute for Research on Food and Nutrition, under the same Minister of Agriculture, where agriculture one thing, nutrition something else, are not the planet, but not only neither. They are different things, instead to move together. This is why it was so important to have in this session Burlingame that we have started many years ago at FAO, trying to give a sense of why food production worldwide and nutrition requirement has to go together. And she was the promoter, with also biodiversity of a very important new development inside FAO, that is biodiversity and nutrition. Thanks, Barbara.
Thank you, Sandro. And I wanted to say a few words about FAO and the Mediterranean diet. This diet has been characterized and analyzed and promoted through a variety of methods within a number of scientific disciplines and applied disciplines. And it continues to be recognized and appreciated as a sustainable diet, and sustainable is a key word here, in the Mediterranean region, even if its practice is diminishing. In 2008, the report of the FAO Regional Conference for Europe made some important statements about traditional foods, sustainable diets, and they did say that the goal of increased global food production, including biofuels, should be balanced against the need to protect biodiversity, ecosystems, traditional foods, and traditional agricultural practices. So the importance of the Mediterranean diet to a UN agency like FAO lies not in the specific foods or specific nutrients, but as a model system with sustainability at its core. And a recent publication, a yearly publication out of FAO, is called The State of Food Insecurity in the World, SOFI for short. And the 2009 SOFI showed a tragic projection. The very first World Food Summit was held in 1996 at FAO. And you can see a mark, if you can see this, this graph, 1996, and it's against a number of hungry people, numbering 800 million. And in 1996, the goal of this first World Food Summit was to reduce by half the number of hungry people in the world from 800 million down to 400 million by 2015. The projection, or the number calculated for 2009 was not a decrease. We're very far off target, and currently it is estimated that more than 1 billion people are suffering from undernutrition. And why is this? Why have we missed the mark so much? Among other reasons, it is the loss of biodiversity, the degradation of environments, and the fact that diets are not sustainable. And for us, at the global level, the Mediterranean diet can be an exceptional model system for us in looking at the problems in the rest of the world.